In a recent program on RT, Going Underground, a former member of Al-Qaeda went on the show and spoke about how essentially Al-Qaeda had tricked the West into getting into the war on terror in order to forward the interests of the Islamists inside the Middle East. And despite the explanation he gave, I'm going to have to royally disagree with them. Now, he allegedly later became an MI6 spy. Essentially, he defected from Al-Qaeda to MI6, one terrorist organization for another. Now, his name is Amin Deen, who joined Al-Qaeda in 1997 and said the trick all began with a letter written by former U.S. think tank Project for the New American Century. Now, essentially, what he's claiming is they saw this. They saw the whole Project for the New American Century. We need a new Pearl Harbor in order to forward U.S. interests around the world. Again, in other words, a justification for carrying out imperialism. Well, according to them, he said we should give them a Pearl Harbor, and that's exactly where we wanted them to be. The U.S. must smash Iraq in order to build an Islamist structure. In other words, Al-Qaeda thinks that they tricked the United States into going into the war on terror. Now, we know this to be absolutely untrue. The United States has looked for a justification to carry out imperialist expansion since the end of the Soviet Union, now that the main competitor to U.S. influence was out of the way. So I really don't buy this. Maybe I'm sure Al-Qaeda thinks that they tried to trick the United States into the war on terror in order to destabilize the Middle East, but I think that the United States never cared about that to begin with. They were always looking for a pretext to go into these countries, as they have done it over and over and over again. This also relies on the false assumption that Syria has anything to do with fighting terrorism for the United States, and not the overthrow of the legitimate government there in order to install a puppet government, a puppet leader, what have you. Basically, U.S. imperialism. So I'm going to have to disagree here, and I think that definitely Al-Qaeda sure thinks that that's what they've done, but all they've really done is help the United States. They haven't tricked the United States into unending conflicts. The United States did that very much on their own, and they had always intended to attack these countries to try to turn them over into clients of U.S. imperialism. So despite what it says in Going Underground, I'm going to have to wholly disagree and say that this was always the plot by the United States and imperialist expansion to begin with. Thank you for watching. If you like this program, then please head over to my Patreon page and set up a monthly donation. It's your donations that keep this program running. Also, if you would like, please rate, comment, subscribe, and share in various social media.